welcome to an episode of ISA Alumni Chronicles. You're here with the ISA Alumni Relations team. I'm Zach Muskin.
I'm Maya Curto.
And today we have a great panel with alumni from Meknes, Morocco. So why don't y'all go ahead and get us started and, tell us who you are, a little bit about, how you chose that program, the U.S. university you go to or went to, and when y'all were in Meknes. Why don't you go ahead and get us started, Nadine?
For sure. So my name is Nadine Al-Malam. I'm a global ambassador for ISA at Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey. I picked the Meknes Morocco program because I wanted to study Arabic, and I also wanted to get in touch with my heritage as a Moroccan American woman. And I definitely got way more than I bargained for, especially living with these guys.
Nice. What about you, George?
Yeah, so my name is George. I graduated from Arizona State University in May of 2020, and I studied in Meknes with Nadine and with Janae in fall of 2019. And I chose the Meknes program because I was studying Arabic in school. I minored in Arabic, but I really wanted to take it a step further and have more of an immersive experience. And the Meknes program just really kind of spoke to me, and that's what I chose to do.
Nice. And take us home, Janae.
So my name is Janae Bell, and I graduated from Missouri State University the spring of 2020. And then I'm now undertaking my master's program here at Missouri State University as well. I chose to go to Meknes specifically because of the region. I had not been abroad before, and so Morocco is a really excellent place to start because it's so close to Europe. It was easy to bounce up there. You have that African influence and some of the Middle Eastern influences as well. So I just wanted to jump full in, and Meknes really gave that to me.
Can y'all speak a little bit about, and can do like a little round robin here, but like what was the experience like in regards to classes in Meknes versus classes back home? Maybe even like the city life or nightlife, like what was that like there?
So Rowan University is pretty much a smaller school. It's suburban. There isn't really much to do. And I always said, like when I'd been applying to go to college, like I didn't want to go to a city school, but after living in Meknes, I did not know what I was missing. I mean, everything's within walking distance. There's so much to see. It's constantly alive. Regarding classes, we had our own little study center. There was a little cafe where you could get like coffee and snacks. Classes were way longer there than they were in the US, but I think it was really necessary because a lot of it was discussion based. I know we all took language classes and the language classes were longer, but that's because you were learning so much. And basically everything we learned, if you didn't see it in action, you could use it, right? Like the Arabic, the French, we got use of it. Otherwise, whether in gender studies or Islamic society and politics, which are classes we had together, a lot of the stuff we like talked about and were in the books, we got to engage with in person. So it's definitely one of the most like robust academic things I've ever done. And I mean, just the city itself, it's so full of like life and noise and different things going on that I really didn't know what I was missing until I went to Morocco.
Yeah, I go to one of the biggest universities, or I went to one of the biggest universities in the country, Arizona State. And so kind of going from that to this smaller kind of study center, I really enjoyed it. And, everyone that you have classes with is also in the program. And so it's, small class sizes and you get to really interact with these professors. And the professors are amazing. Like they're teaching at one of the top universities in Morocco, Moulay Ismail, and, just really are wonderful to spend time with, and also went out of their way in ways that I had never seen American professors do to like really make sure that their students were doing really well. And Meknes is really unique because it's a lot smaller than some of the other big cities in Morocco. It's not like Marrakesh or Casablanca or Rabat, but it's not rural, it's not too small, and so it's really cool. It's not super touristy, which I think is pretty neat, like to have a town like a market square and stuff like that really is showing you local Moroccan life without some of like the big tourist influences that are in other parts of Morocco. But that's one of the coolest places to go at night is the market, and it's awesome.
One of my favorite things was the small class sizes as well. We were more immersed in our classrooms, like the duration was a lot longer, but you did have that one-on-one interaction with a professor in a way that you don't typically get, or from my experience, you don't get in American universities. They also took us on field trips, which gets back to what Nadine was saying. Everything that we were learning in the classroom, whether it was language or, gender studies, you could go out into the community and see these things happening and practice the skills that you're learning in class. So we had field trips to Rabat, to the market, all kinds of places. The professors really were invested in our success, and were proud to show us their home, which, made it easier for it to become our home as well. They say in Morocco, if you don't get lost in the Medina, which is the market, at least once, then you're not truly partaking in the Moroccan culture. And so we sought out many a nights to just kind of wander about, and it's very much a maze. And so you never know where you're going to end up, which shops you're going to get to see, or where you'll even come out. So it was a unique adventure each time, I would say. We ended up finding a riad that hosted local musicians that kind of became like our place that was housed in the market area. But it was an adventure every time you walked in, for sure.
I love the market, and it's very different than any experience you can have in the US. And for me, one of like the scary things was like haggling for prices. Like that's just something I'd never done before, and I was like uncomfortable with. I was like, oh my God, like how do you argue with someone about a price? And you don't even speak the same language necessarily. And I had been studying Arabic and I knew some, but it really is like kind of fun to like try and get the best price on something. And if you know just a little bit of Arabic, if you know enough Darija to like haggle in Moroccan Arabic, they are gonna like respect you a lot more and give you a better deal. So going to the market and taking the train to Fez and going to the crazy huge market there and just trying to like haggle your way through and get cool stuff and meet people. It's definitely an intimidating experience, and one that I was intimidated by it, but ultimately I'm so glad that I kind of pushed myself out of my comfort zone to really experience it, because I think a lot of tourists try and stay away from the markets because they're this big maze, and like the bartering, the haggling thing is intimidating, but I think ultimately it's like one of the most rewarding experiences you can have there.
What were some of the lessons or some of the things that you pulled from that? And George, you mentioned like you grew from that, it was difficult, you threw yourself in some of these situations, but what are some of the things you brought home with you? Some of the experiences that you're looking back on and like, man, if I didn't go to Meknes, man, if I didn't get lost in the market, if I didn't, stay in an apartment, if I didn't do these things, I wouldn't have this said thing now. Is there anything that y'all can speak on in regards to that?
I would definitely say, and coming from like a personal standpoint, like when I studied abroad, I didn't even turn 19 yet. I was still like, only had 1 year of college, under my belt. So definitely learned, especially in a place like Morocco where people are just so warm and accepting. And I had like really great roommates that were not judgmental and literally in the same boat as me in terms of kind of being like, oh my God, we're here, this is real. I learned to try to take myself a little bit less seriously and to kind of just go with the flow and have fun, because I know it can be an intimidating experience, especially if it's your first time going abroad alone. It can be overwhelming because of things like the big markets and not knowing the language. But I think kind of realizing that you're going to be all right and just kind of embracing all of the craziness for what it is definitely something that you have to learn, and you certainly will learn. So that's a huge lesson that I got out of being in Morocco.
I think something that I've thought about a lot since leaving Morocco is I think that there are probably a lot of people that were in the same boat as me, where it was like I was absolutely terrified, and it was a really hard thing for me to make myself do, to go so far out of my comfort zone, to leave my home and the place I've lived for my whole life for a semester, which in hindsight is like not that much time, but at the beginning of when I was going to Morocco, it seemed like a really huge amount of time. And if there's like one thing I could impart to other people that have that anxiety is, it is not as scary as it seems. And ultimately, it will be one of the most rewarding experiences that you put yourself through. And sometimes the most rewarding experiences are the ones that are the scariest. And I think that I came out of it with an incredibly different sense of self-reliance and independence that I didn't even know I had. And that was what was so surprising to me, was that I like developed this independence and this self-reliance that I didn't think it was possible. Like, I was like, I knew all these people that had studied abroad, and I was like, they're so much, stronger than me and cooler than me. And they know, they have this emotional fortitude, and that's why they can do this. And going, I was like, wait, I can do this, And so, it really kind of changed how I look at myself in the world, and, taught me I can depend on myself.
It definitely, I think everyone starts absolutely terrified, but then they grow into their own, and that's through the community. So for us, that was one another, and also the friends that we made in Morocco. But also it gives you just this sense of appreciation for like broader humanity. So I haven't been abroad before Morocco, and seeing that like another entirely different culture has your back no matter what, and they want to engage with you, they want to welcome you to that community, and share their home with you, is a really eye-opening and incredible experience. One that I wasn't fully ready for, I don't think.
What was a typical Moroccan dish that you frequently ate?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so aside from the beautiful things that Haria would cook us, like tagine and couscous and all that good stuff, we would not be college students if we did not eat street food and junk food. So I think it was a split tie between maracuda, which is like this little potato fritter that you can get in bread, and French tacos, which are not tacos at all. It's a tortilla stuffed with like cheese sauce and French fries and meat. And Haria made great food, and we should have been focusing on the nutritious food, but street food is just as authentic, and it hits different. So we definitely were eating a lot of the street food as much as we were eating your typical couscous, tagine, lubia, all that stuff.
Tell us about the OnSite Staff.
Oh my goodness, the OnSite Staff is the best. Like my first day, I was kind of like freaking out, as I'd said, and I'd gone to Iman, the residential director, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. She's like a big sister. She's like a mom. She's so sweet, understanding. Her office is always open to you. Osama was fantastic. He was kind of like our resident musician. So on bus rides, he's breaking out the guitar, singing to us, singing in French, English, Arabic, star. But I think one of my favorite, no offense, staff was Yunus. And he was basically like our crazy big brother, always joking around with us, taking us cool places. I'm pretty sure that every student at least once was having a rough day and like went up to the office and was like, Yunus, can we go for a taxi ride and talk? He was so caring, so crazy, so fun. I know Janae is going to have a lot to say about him just because she was doing service learning and he was a service learning coordinator. But overall, the staff was really sweet and welcoming and just really fun people to be around in general.
Hearing you all talk about Morocco, I feel like my takeaway is just like everyone feels like family from what it sounds, which is so beautiful. That's amazing.
It was absolutely my favorite part. I only did it for a couple credits, but I ended up spending way more hours at my local organization than I was originally supposed to. I worked with women and children in a local organization, and Yunus was amazing. He would come with us during work days and just grind away as we were trying to reach our goals. But being embedded within a Moroccan community was such a rewarding experience. To work alongside them for a mission to better their community was just, it was so amazing. I have photos of me and the children still hanging up in my apartment, and I still remember like bawling my last taxi ride away from them. I 100% will return to my Moroccan children to see them again. But if I could tell anyone to lean into service learning, it is a scary extra component, but it is so worthwhile. Being embedded within a community is a next level.
I love that. Yeah, our service learning programs are actually really incredible, and kind of scattered throughout the world. So yeah, I agree. If anyone has the opportunity to do that, definitely take a look. Y'all, thanks for sharing. This kind of gets to our closing. You have all sprinkled a little bit of the question I'm about to ask you, each to share, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Kind of in closing, in about 30 seconds each, and we can start with you, Janae, then go to you, George, and Nadine. You can finish us off. But about 30 seconds as to why study abroad is important to you.
That's a
30 seconds. 30
one.
seconds.
Okay.
Loaded question.
Right.
Study abroad really pushes you to come into your own selfhood, but also to explore your human community. And I don't know, it's all about exploring the planet that we all share, and finding that underlying connection that runs through us all.
Study abroad to me means kind of like looking inward by looking outward, and learning about yourself through these interactions that you're having with the rest of the world, and kind of getting outside of the life that you know to realize that there are other perspectives and other viewpoints. And I think that that's something, especially studying in a majority Muslim country, coming from America and studying in a majority Muslim country, I think is an experience that I wish more people would have, and really challenge their own views and challenge who they are and what they believe in.
So the crazy thing about study abroad is it shakes up your world in like a very real way. I feel like, especially coming from, a small town, or maybe not such a big school, or whatever your situation might be, you might not realize how big, beautiful, and crazy the world is, and how many people are on it that are different from you, but can still kind of connect with you on a really amazing personal level. So study abroad is not only a way to like open up your horizons globally and to kind of have these like intercultural exchanges, but the memories, the experiences, and the people you'll engage with, if you would not have been able to do that if you didn't study abroad. So all of those little moments, aside from like classes and all of, the important things, right? Those are what makes it, for sure.
Yes. Thank you, all three of you. It was incredible hearing from each of you, different stories, different experiences, and joined experiences as well. And to all of you out there listening, this is another episode. Thanks for coming to the ISA Alumni Chronicles. Again, I'm Zach Muskin.
And I'm Maya Curto.
And we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.